Always happy to speak with Mean Hakeem Dawodu. You don't do a whole lot of interviews, so it's good to catch up with you before your fight. Now, I know you were supposed to fight in Vancouver against Lucas Almeida. Do you like this matchup with Cub Swanson better?
Yeah, I like this matchup a lot better. Um, I switched managements. And yeah, I'm just really happy though with the direction that chosen view is taking me.
So you switched management, but kind of have the same manager, right? Like Tim Simpson is still looking after all of your
Yeah,
your your stuff.
exactly. So yeah, even though I changed management, it's only because my original manager, he started his own thing, so I went with him.
And he only manages really a handful of people. So what was it like to be able to continue your career with him?
It just felt like home, just felt natural, because I only really have ever dealt with him. You know what I mean? So even though I was with Paradigm before, I only really dealt with Tim. So nothing really changed.
So it's been nearly a year since we last saw you compete, 11 months to be exact. How
Yeah,
excited are you to finally get back in there?
I'm good. I'm really excited. It's my first co-main. Um, yeah, it's a great event. It's a great fight stylistically, and I'm just excited to display my skills and be on the co-main and really get some light on me.
This is your second time fighting at the Apex. You won your first time fighting there. What's it like fighting at a smaller venue compared to what you're typically used to at the UFC?
That you know, it's nothing's really different, to be honest. Just because like I've had so many fights. I did the whole COVID thing. I fought on the Fight Island with Abu Dhabi, so it really doesn't change anything for me. You know what I mean?
Would you have preferred to fight in Vancouver with your home crowd, the first Canadian event in nearly 4 years? When that did happen, Canadians obviously did great on that card.
Yeah, it would have been nice to fight in Canada, but at the end of the day, I'm looking to have some of the bigger fights in my career, and I think this fight makes more sense. It's a bigger name, it's co-main event, so I think this is definitely the wiser choice and the better fight.
With Cub, I mean, he's somebody that a lot of fighters in your weight class have looked up to over the years as a fighter that they style has been something they want to kind of emulate a little bit. One of the pioneers in the division. What does Cub Swanson mean to you as a fighter?
He's a very big name, probably one of the biggest names I've fought against. Everybody knows him. Everybody's excited for this fight. Of course, he's a legend. He's been around, and I'm just excited to have this opportunity to display my skills against such a big name.
How much has this year off helped you in terms of developing your skills? A lot of fighters feel like they grow more as a fighter when they don't necessarily have an opponent and can focus more on themselves rather than a certain fighter's style.
Yeah, I grew a lot. I made sure I was healthy. I made sure I got my weight and my nutrition on point. That was one of the main factors. My last fight, I tried to cut too much weight too soon. I was coming from 185 and tried to make weight in 5 weeks, and I just could not do it. So this fight camp, I just made sure my nutrition was on point. I made sure I had 4 shots of PRP, and my shoulders are all healthy, my neck's all healthy. So it was one of those training camps where I had, no nothing, nothing holding me back, just a full training camp and no injuries.
So for people that don't know, what is PRP and how does that help you?
It only works if you don't have a full tear. So I had a grade one, grade two tear in my supraspinatus in my shoulder, and it was either get surgery or try the PRP. So I did the PRP first. I had about 4 shots in there, and I've done it before, and it worked on my right shoulder. So I did it again on my left shoulder before I started this training camp, and the results were beautiful. It worked, and I avoided surgery, and I was able to get back, and now I'm fighting.
So is that stem cells? Is that what that PRP is? The stem cells?
Not really. So it's like they take your blood and then they spin it, and then they take like the stuff that helps you heal in your blood. I can't remember what it's called, and then they re-inject that directly into the tear. So you have like an ultrasound, so you can see the tear in the ultrasound, and you see the needle going in it, and you just see everything blowing up, and it hurts. But within about 3 weeks, you start feeling better.
I'm glad that that took, because obviously the last thing you want to have is shoulder surgery. It seems like that's been something that's altered a lot of people's careers.
Yeah, definitely. You know what I mean? I always try to avoid surgery. You know what I mean? Even a couple of fights ago, I had a a herniated disc in my neck, and I was able to avoid surgery with that just through rehab as well. So I've been very lucky.
How helpful has it been for you that the regional scene in Canada is kind of back and moving? You have a lot of different fighters that are in camp right now that you're training with the Champions Creed. So how has that helped you in terms of your preparation for these fights, as opposed to during COVID, there really wasn't much going on in the regional scene, and fighters weren't really preparing for opponents at that time.
No, it's been great. You know, we got a whole bunch of fighters on Unified. We got a couple of, really good Ukrainian fighters at our gym right now that are coming from Ukraine that are now, stationed out at Calgary. Everybody's in fight shape right now. Everybody's training. So as soon as this fight's done, I'm gonna come back to the city and make sure I pay back and give those guys the same training they were giving me, because everyone's getting ready. Everybody in my team, they're trying to either get into the Dana White's Contender Series or make it into the UFC as well. We got my boy Chad and Hallinger already in there, so it's just been a lot of momentum going on for Champions Creed.
So these are fighters from the Ukraine that have immigrated to Canada as kind of as refugees to escape what's going on there.
Yeah, and then we got a couple of really good fighters because of it, so it's been nice.
What's it like for them to be in Canada? Have they spoken to you about becoming more acclimated with Canada?
I mostly see them at the gym. They seem happy. I think Ramil would have a better understanding of that. That's more of his demographic. He seems to, hang out with those guys a little bit more. But what I understand, they seem to be loving the city and loving it here and just enjoying working. And it's a nice city, and it's real relaxed, and they just seem to be having a good time.
Tell me about some of your training partners. I know I'm going to be calling some of their fights in a couple weeks at Unified in your backyard in Calgary. So it must be nice to have an MMA event coming up in Calgary with kind of a bigger promotion. What's their preparation been like, and who should we keep an eye on as Canadians that are keeping their eye on the regional scene?
Yeah, of course we got my boy Big Mac. I've been training with him for years. He's fighting at 170. He's got a big fight coming up. He's fighting Chris Chapman, Unified winner. I think gets the title shot. So that's a huge fight for him. We got my boy Ramil as well that I train with. He's fighting in Unified as well. We got Nick LeBlanc. He's been around forever, and real good fighter. So we got a whole bunch of guys on that card, and it's going to be great. Everyone's getting in shape. Everyone's getting sharp. Everyone's looking to either get on Dana White's Contender or UFC. So it's just been a real grind, and we've all been pushing real hard and training smart, but training hard.
What's changed in your life in the last year? I know you said you switched different management teams, but anything else going on in your life?
Everything's kind of been the same. Just I've been really taking my nutrition very serious, making sure I don't get so heavy, because I naturally, just my genetics, I'm kind of bulky. You know what I mean? It's very easy for me to get bulky, right? So I just make sure that I've been really paying attention to my nutrition, and in this camp I came in very light, so I don't have to worry about cutting weight.
What's changed about your nutrition? What have you changed about your diet to make sure you're on point?
I just been making sure I've been dieting all year. You know what I mean? Making sure I don't get any past 170, 175, because in the past I've gotten up to 180, 186, and it's not like I get fat. I just naturally just get bulky. So my last fight I had trouble making weight, and it wasn't that I was like fat or anything like that. I just had a little bit too much muscle mass. So this fight camp, I just made sure I stayed lean and got used to training lean as well. That's another thing. When you try to cut weight too drastically, you get really tired and injured when you're drained like that. So this camp, I made sure I was lean. I trained lean and made sure I was able to have a high energy system while on a low weight as well.
Is there a picture in existence of you being fat? Because every picture I see of you, you're just completely shredded and jacked. So, I mean, is there a picture of fat Hakeem Dawodu somewhere?
Maybe not fat Hakeem, but there's definitely a picture of bulky eating fried chicken in Vegas Hakeem. I remember there's a fried chicken place here. I think it's called What the Cluck or something like that at the Cosmo. And if I stay in Vegas too long and I eat that fried chicken too much, sometimes I get a little bit bulky looking. But yeah, not fat, but you definitely be some pictures of a bulky Hakeem for sure.
Okay, well, we're not going to be seeing fat or bulky Hakeem on Saturday. We're going to be seeing mean Hakeem. It's nice to see you back in the cage.
Yeah,
It's always a pleasure to see you competing. Cub Swanson, I think that's an incredible matchup for both of you in terms of your styles, and I think it's going to be a fun one. So thanks for doing this, and look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks in Calgary as well.
thank you, man. I'll see you at Unified, and I appreciate the support from all the Canadians, and it's all love on my part.